Hello everybody, it's TannerFishies here, back again with a new Ninjago video here on the channel. In today's video we have some big Ninjago news to talk about, which is most likely going to be the case for the rest of this week, so be sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on any of this coverage regarding the new Ninjago news. And this information comes courtesy of the website known as PromoBricks, which is a German website that catalogs and documents early LEGO set lists and sort of releases them to the public. They've done this with Ninjago in the past, and we previously talked about the upcoming summer 2022 set list, and that information was from PromoBricks as well. We've also covered several other set lists from them in the past, which have turned out to be mostly correct, minus a couple of details that get lost in translation along the way. As mentioned, they are not an English website. And recently they started updating set descriptions for some of the new summer 2022 sets, and a lot of the descriptions include very shocking things that I don't think a lot of us Ninjago fans were expecting to see, most of which involving returning villains, which is what we're going to be talking about in today's video. We have several returning characters and returning bad guys, and in today's video I want to go over a rough summary of everyone that's going to be coming back, with several villains officially confirmed and some with a rough maybe. And I will talk about which set they are going to be appearing in, and I will be giving a quick little description as to what I think they will be up to during the Season 16 storyline. But let's get into which ones specifically are returning. Starting with Esfira. Now, Esfira, it's no surprise that she's coming back. She's going to be making an appearance in Cole's Golden Dragon Cruiser, which is a medium-sized set if I'm not mistaken, and she is going to be in a new crystal form apparently according to the PromoBricks descriptions. Now, Esfira, as I mentioned, I'm not surprised that she's coming back. Towards the end of the Fire chapter she was obviously imprisoned, so her returning makes a fair bit of sense. It's not like she died or anything like that, she was just imprisoned, and in terms of how I feel about her coming back, I mean, Esfira is not my favorite Ninjago villain out there, you guys know that. I find her motivation to be very bland and boring. However, I've always said that if Ninjago wants to try her again in the future, I would be open to that possibility, and Esfira returning here makes me believe that perhaps the Ninjago story will tweak her character this go round and maybe make her a little bit more interesting, a little bit more diverse, maybe a little bit more intriguing in terms of a motivation. And with her new crystal form, I mean, it sounds awesome. I can't wait to see what that's about. Crystal form Esfira. Interesting. It's going to be curious to see what exactly she's going to be up to during the events of Ninjago Season 16. Next, we have a character known as the Skull and Crossbones Magician, which is a very rough translation. I think we could pretty much piece together that this is the Skull Sorcerer, which makes a lot of sense as well. Following Ninjago Season 13, Vangelis was imprisoned, presumably by the Shintaro guards. He's not dead or anything. Once again, like Esfira, he still is around and alive and well, so he could totally make a return in Season 16, and the Skull and Crossbones Magician, that very much seems like the Skull Sorcerer, unless it's a new character, which is very much unlikely. This is pretty much going to be the Skull Sorcerer. Vengestone obviously comes from Shintaro, and Vangelis was in charge of mining the Vengestone to sell to a mysterious buyer, so maybe the Skull Sorcerer was working for the Vengestone buyer the entire time, and maybe one of these other villains is going to be that Vengestone buyer. The Skull and Crossbones Magician, or the Skull Sorcerer, is going to be appearing in Zane's Golden Dragon Raider, which has now been listed as Zane's Golden Dragon Jet. As I mentioned in previous videos, the set names will change often depending on, you know, how rough the translation is and how close we are to release. So a Golden Dragon Jet featuring the Skull Sorcerer, interesting. I want to see how that plays out, and I'm happy to see Vangelis return. It's going to be nice to see his comeback following his defeat at the hands of Cole during Ninjago Season 13. Next we have Harumi, who is going to be appearing in the Crystal King. I did an entire separate video on Harumi returning because obviously Harumi, out of everybody on this list, Harumi is probably the biggest surprise, because last we saw Harumi, she was busy being crushed by a building. We thought that she was killed off, but apparently not. Obviously some of you guys have pointed out that maybe this could be a similar situation to Avatar Harumi, and I mentioned that in my initial Harumi video as well, but the set lists her as just Harumi, not any special variant, which makes me think that perhaps Harumi is alive and well, and has secretly been plotting her return this entire time. I'm very curious to see her characterization, because last we saw of Harumi right before she died, she did a good thing, making it seem like perhaps she could turn over a new leaf, and maybe that characterization will be explored more in Season 16. If it's not, I might be a little disappointed regarding that, but still, Harumi coming back is a very big deal to a lot of Ninjago fans, including myself, and I cannot wait to see her back in action. And I'm not sure if she's going to be a bad guy or a good guy. The set lists her as sort of an antagonist, so I guess we're just going to have to go off of that right now, but of course Ninjago sets are not definitive descriptions as to what's going to be going on in the show, so I guess we're just going to have to wait and see what exactly Harumi's role is going to be. And lastly, for the officially confirmed villains coming back, we have Pythor. Now, Pythor is another villain that a lot of people are very much excited to see return, and I think that's awesome that Pythor is coming back. Last we saw of Pythor, I think that was Day of the Departed. I think that's the last time that we saw him, unless you count a couple of random Ninjago books here and there. But Pythor, he's always been threatening to take over Ninjago, so maybe the entire Vengestone plan was his idea. Pythor is listed to be appearing in the Samurai X mech, which is now listed to be a Nia Samurai X mech. It was previously reported that the Samurai X mech set was going to be Pixels. Apparently it's Nia's, which is interesting to think about, but Pythor is going to be in that set wearing red armor, which is interesting. The red armor might be some type of crystal armor similar to Crystal Asphera that we talked about earlier, but Pythor returning sounds fantastic. I want to see his relationship and dynamic with other characters, especially Asphera. I think it could be fun to see how those two characters interact with each other. And Pythor coming back is always fun because Pythor is a very fun villain, and I'm excited to see what he's going to be doing in season 16. I think out of all of the people that we just talked about, Pythor probably has the most amount of potential to be the ringleader behind this entire operation. I think if anyone's going to be the Vengestone buyer, it's going to be Pythor. And that's going to pretty much do it for the confirmed villains. However, we do have some other villains that were listed that I don't feel comfortable talking about them as if they're going to be coming back guaranteed. The first villain that is a maybe is going to be Unagami. Now, there is a mention of Unagami during the description of the Samurai X mech, which states that there's a dragon that's going to be included in that set as well. A very small dragon that looks similar to Unagami's digital dragon form that we saw during Prime Empire, but that's not a guarantee. All they said was that the dragon looked similar, so I'm not exactly sure if we can officially confirm that Unagami is going to be returning. It would be kind of weird if Unagami came back, but then again, the more villains, the merrier, I guess, right? And lastly, for a maybe, Garmadon. We have a character listed in a couple of different sets as being a black figure with 4 arms. These sets include the Dark Temple, which is also known as the Temple of the Crystal King, and one other set this wave. Is this going to be Garmadon? It's very much likely, considering how it is a black character with 4 arms. That is Garmadon by definition, so maybe we could see Garmadon coming back, or this is going to be the main bad guy. Because he appears in more than one set, maybe this is going to be the Vengestone buyer, quote-unquote, the new villain, the main villain of this entire season. It makes sense that there would be a new villain sort of controlling all of these older ones, or at least being the ringleader. I sort of think that Pythor could still be the ringleader by definition, because of course he's Pythor. But this new character, the black figure with 4 arms, seems like he's going to be appearing in more than one set. And considering how he appears in the Temple of the Crystal King set, is this technically the Crystal King? I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. So in terms of all of these older villains coming back, I am very much excited to see some of the confirmed ones, especially Harumi, Pythor, even Asphera to an extent. I just think older villains coming back is very exciting, especially in the context of Ninjago Season 16, which already does kind of feel like a finale. This sort of pushes that narrative even further, and it makes me think that perhaps the end is closer than we thought for the Ninjago series, but obviously that thought is up for debate as well. Feel free to let me know down below in the comments what you think about all of these older villains coming back, and which villain are you most excited to see make his or her grand return. Thank you very much for checking out this video, you guys. That'll pretty much wrap it up for my thoughts here today, and I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and check out the links down below in the description for my other forms of social media. Thank you all so much for checking out today's video. Once again, you guys, my name is TannerFishies, and with that, I bid you farewell.